its front page this week.
Yes.
You can't find a copy in town now. So it tells you people actually want to know what actually happened, because this is a family thing. I mean, what happens, I mean, with when you get so close to these what was it, these prayerful people, you know, because I think it was, I don't know whether to call it a cult or to call it mysticism, but the way these people died was the way the family disappeared, and then the other lady who's being accused of being so close to them, to being a prayer partner, or what do you call them, Prof? Prayer what? Prayer buddies?
I think prayer partner is the right term.
Prayer partner, yeah. I mean, and then we've not heard anything from her, and she's the one who was actually very close to these people. So I think this is about public interest also. People need to know, and there could be very many families who are in such situations, and actually they just don't know. So I don't think we are taking advantage, because if it's taking advantage, as they say, then we take advantage of everything. We don't create news, they happen. We just cover them.
Okay, yeah. Prof, I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on this.
And this really goes to, remember Clay's past response of how we are a fad society. For 2 weeks this story has been pursued by the media. So since it broke, the media has not given it rest. So actually, I think media in the country pursue stories to their logical conclusion in some cases. But also look at this as fitting into a certain narrative that was in space. You know, we've talked about the Kanyari story. We've talked about, I mean, basically the rogue religious leaders and what they've been doing. And so this fits into that pattern. So I don't think that the story can be seen in isolation. And part of what pushes it onto the headline, I think, is also part of that context in which it has broken. So, and I think the media are actually doing a fairly important job here, because by carrying this story, I think it also helps to warn some people who might be involved in similar religious experiences for now, to be cautious and to be a little bit sober and think through their engagement with the issues of faith. So in a sense, and given the centrality of religion in the things that we do and in our lives, I think it's important that that story is given the kind of attention that has been given. So I wouldn't probably find a lot of fault with it.
Okay, but then there's also the question, going back to public interest, how do we measure that? And how do we determine what truly interests the public? Because we've seen stories aired on TV, even on this station, of pastors being caught pants down with, you know, other women, and we show those pictures. Are we out of line for doing that?
I don't think so. As a journalist, I am for showing everything. And having mentioned that, actually, the pastors, I mean, I want to tell you this thing about, you mentioned something that the journalists should do their bit, and then the government, the agencies should take over and stuff like that. When it comes to the Kanyari saga, I think I have to give the government credit. They actually took up the issue. They talked about it after that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But on the question of, I think sometimes there's so much of, there's a certain sense in which media treats Christianity unfairly. I mean, when it is a pastor, we are going to the rooms where they, whatever, and you're thinking, I mean, take for example the
But I mean, the argument has always been, and this is what I was asking, that this is a public figure, therefore he is going to elicit public interest. But what is the measure of public interest?
Some of those guys are pastors in some backyard, church somewhere. Nobody knows them, so the question of public interest does not even arise. I mean, who knows some of those pastors? I mean, apart from the media getting a tip and saying, oh, this is a pastor of some long international, I mean, Church of International
Helicopter,
Fellowship, etc. But my worry is this: does the media treat other faiths, other religions, the same way that they treat Christianity? Is there a certain degree of unfairness to the Christian faith? And I think that to a great extent, you look at the coverage, if you objectively explore the media content, you will find that some little pastor somewhere does something and it is heavily highlighted. Some other faith, I think the frailty.
I think it's because because the larger population is Christian. It's Christian.
It is.
I think, yeah.
But I mean, by the way, where do we get sometimes the fact that the larger population is Christian? Is it then leeway, liberty to then treat that faith with a lot of indiscretion.
Which is where I go back to my question. What is a measure of public interest?
No, when it comes to Christianity, I think here where you're saying that the media is probably unfair to Christian pastors or to Christians, I think it's they have a disadvantage in numbers. They're spread all over the place. Most likely you will find if there's an infraction by a religious person, most likely it will be by a Christian. But having said that, I think there have been other situations also where other faiths have been highlighted.
Not as much.
I mean, because the few, you see, the few and far between, you know, the few and far between.
Yeah.
I mean, like, as a Christian of Rastafarian faith.
Oh my goodness, Clay. All right, we're about to wrap this up, but I do want the two of you to...
Just interesting, the question you're asking, what's the public interest? I think it's the editor's choice.
You think so?
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying, like, for me, I think we should... It's only that the way...
Clay, you're being accused.
It's only the way we probably package it. You see, it's only the way we package it, but everything actually can be news. Everything can be... It depends on how you package it, and that's why we have things like, okay, this is a political story, this is a lifestyle story, and all that. Yeah, it depends on how you package it. For me, I think, as a journalist, I think we just need to package it better to make it palatable to the public.
And the editor decides.
Yes, we decide, yeah. Sometimes that's how we sometimes end up killing stories. I mean, you're aware, you know, how sometimes stories die in the newsroom and all that, because probably it was not packaged well, or sometimes you can revive it and do it as a feature. You know, it all depends on that.
I feel like these are the beginnings of what could be an interesting debate on the power of editors and public influence.
No, well, we are nice people. We kill stories, not dreams. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, we've run out of time, and that's why we have to wrap up this conversation. Thank you very much for making time to be with us. I've been speaking to Clay Muganda, who's the editor of Sunday Standard. Do grab your copy. Trust me, he has some very interesting articles there. And Professor Levi Obonyo, who's the Dean of Communication Department in the University, in Daystar University, rather. Thank you for making time to be with us. Yeah?
Daystar University, that's why we are unfair to Christians.
I don't know. I think I'm giving you the right of reply. Is that true? Yes or no? That's why your view is...
No, I think our task as we engage in public discourse is to be objective.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to... If you actually study this and I'm challenging you, take a week and look through.
I'll see.
I'll do that as well. And hopefully next week when we reconvene, we'll carry on with that debate. When we come back on our lifestyle discussion, we're talking about women and pregnancy. And if you're a gentleman, you're like, no, do not go away. This also involves you. Trust me. I'll be speaking to Dr. Njoki Fernandez. She is a very interesting person. You don't want to miss out on that. We'll be right back.